Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sharp Cuts. My name is Garrett May alongside Josh Nickel, as always, and we're back. We've been away for a while. We apologize to you, the viewer. I didn't miss Josh that much. I'm sure he'll say the same to me, but we're back to record an episode. We've got a great guest with us today. Jasper, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Now, I hear you're the captain of the U of T men's volleyball team. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is my third year as a student at U of T, second year of eligibility, and my first year as captain of U of T men's volleyball. So thanks so much for having me on the show.
Now hit us with your major. Garrett's not going to brag about you, but hit us with your major because you're in biology, but it's not just biology. Hit me with the full title here.
Full title is a little complex, but I am double majoring in ecology and evolutionary biology. A second major is physical and environmental geography, and then I'm doing a minor in GIS, which is like a kind of computer science thing. Yeah. So
smartest guy on the show already.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is we've got a couple of nerds on the show here in Josh and Jasper. So just glad we got that out of the way. So welcome to the show, Jasper, and thanks, Josh, for the context. So it's been a while since we've done this, Josh. I feel like I'm a bit rusty. Like, how the hell do we even start the show? Have we done? Like, have we failed already? Are people still listening? What are we getting into?
We failed a little because I felt like we finally had momentum and our listeners who were getting comments, and then we took like 3 weeks off. So now it's good that we're back. And
Sorry.
We have a top tier guest with Jasper, but I think what's topical, if we're going to piggyback on the news, Garrett, and we're going to be like a real discussion show, we're going to be real journalists.
That's a tough challenge for us, though. So let's be careful.
So if you look around, U Sports, and more specifically, Canada West has games going on, Garrett, but you'll notice Jasper's available because he doesn't have training. The OUA, the OCAA, they're locked out, baby. Ontario has deemed them not under the exemption. So for our listeners, I'm sure you're aware of it, but like me working for Volleyball Canada, I had practice today. We're under the exemption. We're still allowed to train for our sport, but Jasper locked down. Like I think you had to do the full 25-day or whatever the Ontario decision, 21 days maybe when it's all said and done. But anyways, no practices, no training, no games or anything, Garrett. The university and college sport is not deemed elite right now.
I didn't know that. And I like how you're throwing it to me first, but I don't want to really sour the conversation with Jasper with my opinion before we really hear from him. And the way you framed that question, Josh, was quite leading. Like, you obviously think this isn't a great thing. Let's get Jasper's take on it, though. He's actually the one getting affected by this, not you, okay?
Fair.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. Really, the boys are left with some question marks. We feel we're training, 365 days a year. We're coming back.
Okay, easy there, man.
Okay, some of us.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, our coach, Coach John, he likes to say we train on the days that we breathe. So that's his motto. So that's we're training as much as we can, but it's a little confusing. There's where guys are all flying in from out of province, out of country. We all came back, ready for the season. And then we're shut down. We had practice on the 28th and the 29th, and then we had the 2nd and 3rd, and then we're now just sitting in our apartments, going on runs, seeing what we can make do. But it's
is this just Ontario who's affected by this? Like, are our competitors in other provinces not dealing with the same thing?
I imagine Quebec is also shut down based on like their COVID numbers, but for sure, Garrett, I know for a fact Canada West has matches coming up this weekend.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a news show, we should really know the news a lot better and the specifics of what's going on. So, I mean, immediate cut there to our credibility here in front of Jasper. Sorry, but I mean, so obviously, yeah, that sucks for you guys. But are you not in some levels like a little bit worried, like COVID's raging, like you see all these other leagues dealing with some of these things where people are sick, like you're only traveling with half the team. If everybody gets sick and the other team's not, like, do you forfeit a match? Like, that could really interrupt things anyway. At least maybe this way you get some sort of reprieve, you get some sort of restart, kind of a unified, everybody's together in on that.
Well, I wonder with the other conferences still going, and by other conferences, correct me if I'm wrong, it could just be Canada West, but at what point does nationals either have to get pushed back or do we have to modify the Ontario schedule? Like, because you guys played a first semester, the OCAA, Garrett, didn't technically start. Like, they were trying to start in the new year, so they might lose a full season. At least Jasper, you got like some matches in, but it's a bit of a weird guessing there with anything with COVID. But what I think is funny is just that Ontario deemed it not elite. Like the U Sports and the OUA is a pathway to national team sports, to professional sports.
All right, well, I'm going to make the first shark of the episode here. I fully agree with Ontario on this one. If we're talking about elite, the OUA is definitely not what we're looking for in terms of elite. I'm going to go full on. I'm going full in shark cut there. I played in it. I was in it. Like, I totally agree with that. It's a school sport. Are high school sports playing?
Some of them are. Some of them are, actually.
Yikes.
But
okay.
Not in Ontario. I don't think in Ontario.
That's some salt to our wounds. We looked at some of the leagues that are playing, and it was a bit of a reminder where some people see this league. But I think you can really defend at least OUA men's volleyball. I personally, some of the guys that we have in our league and even our own teams, like playing in, representing Canada at the beach level, representing Canada indoor level. I know we might not have as much depth as Canada West or, NCAA, but I think the top tier of our players can really stand with anyone in the country or even the
I'd agree with you there, but what percentage of your league needs to be elite for you to call the league elite?
Fair. If we go team by team, I'll start to agree with Garrett that some programs are certainly not elite. But if we maybe, go top heavy, maybe.
Yeah, okay. But imagine they come down and say, all right, your top half of the league can keep playing. They're elite. The bottom half of your league is garbage. They're going to shut down because of COVID. I mean, I support that too.
I mean, that rule was never going to happen. I think the funny comment with Jasper being an American, like, do you have any guys that you played club or high school with that are like, yeah, well, our season's in full swing. We're training every day and we got games coming up.
Yeah. I'm still close with a lot of my boys from club, and pretty much all my club team is playing D1 right now. And they're like, oh, we had 7, 8, 9, 10 COVID cases, and we're still playing the game, And that's where I totally see, like, I see where they're coming from, and I'm empathetic to the decisions they have to make, but it is a little frustrating, especially for me personally. Like, I look, 200 miles down south, and we're having a full league, and so we're left with a lot of questions. But we have been able to be, we're making do with what we can.
Yeah. So this is definitely a personal. Like, you, Jasper, Neal, are probably severely affected by this more than some others, given you're looking down home and you're like, everybody back home is still good. I'm coming up to go to school and now I'm just sitting here doing nothing. Like, obviously that's a huge burn, but I'm really curious, like, what is still going that is like snuck by where the OUA did not? Like, that's got to be the biggest burns out there. Like, is, high school curling happening?
The one that stuck with me, there was like a U19 or U17 girls lacrosse league that's still playing, and complete respect to them and everything, but it's like we definitely have guys on our team that could definitely be representing Canada at the next level for both indoor and beach, and we're like, all right, are you kidding me? These guys definitely are elite volleyball players and athletes for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too political on this show. I mean, we've really done well to avoid it, but 17U girls lacrosse. Now, is it box lacrosse or is it field lacrosse? Because it's a massive difference.
I think the women are mostly dominant on the field. I think the women are typically more better on the field game, or more popular, I should say, with it being an NCAA sport. I think for most people going to pursue that. So
yeah, but definitely definitely respect to those leagues for being able to get their leagues keep playing, and if they think it's safe and a good idea, hats off to them. I think I'm not opposed to anyone else playing. I know I want to play myself, so.
Garrett, I believe it was your biological father who said on the show that, COVID goes under the medical category, which is based on science. But again, some of these decisions are not based on science. So you have like a U17 youth league that's allowed to go. Obviously, national team sports and people preparing for like the Winter Olympics, they're allowed to go. The Raptors are playing in front of nobody. I just checked. The AUS is shut down. OUA is shut down. Like the one wild example I thought of was when COVID first started, college indoor volleyball happened, the national championships, but the U Sports, which started a day later, was not allowed to start. So there just seems to be always like a little bit of a loophole or a weird exemption where it's like, we have this rule, but like that those people over there, they don't have to follow it, even though we're kind of in the same like bubble. It's really weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get that with anything though. Like when you make a rule, like there's going to be some people on the fringe of that rule that aren't going to be affected, right? So, I mean, it's unfortunate. And I feel for everybody who's missing out on playing because those are fun days for me, and especially right now in this time, like early in the year, early in the calendar year, this is kind of when things are starting to build for the playoff push, right? So to be shut down at this point is kind of like, shoot, you're kind of taking the wheels out from under us as we're just starting to get on a roll. So I totally feel that. And I don't know that we need to belabor the point because I don't know, are we really going to solve this, Josh?
No, but I will say,
I want to solve.
I have one more comment. I have one more comment before you segue us, though.
Well,
I hope.
How did you know I was going to segue us? You know me too well.
Yeah, it's the hand gestures. I just hope that as a casual sports fan, when the NBA first started their bubble, Garrett, they cut the list and they said, no, you teams, you have no chance to go into the playoffs. You're out. So I hope the OUA commissioners and all the management of the league sport just say, sorry, school ABC, your season's over, but U of T, you guys can keep going. Like, I hope they name names and pick certain schools. I just want the drama of that.
I support that.
Yes.
We've definitely talked as a team, just joking, like how insane OUA men's volleyball bubble would be or something like that. Like just, like going down to some arena and just putting all the teams together and just how awesome and crazy that would be. So,
but just cut it at 4 teams now. Say the rest of the season's done and it's only you 4 who get to participate in this year's championship.
There's definitely a good argument. I mean, I think you could kind of whittle it down and see which teams, would be there. And I'm not going to say, but I think we have a pretty good idea, the top 4 teams.
All right, so we've been talking on the show for 12 minutes already, and Jasper has not yet made a sharp cut, has been the nicest guy, super diplomatic coming on the show. I'm starting to get to know you. Seem, I can understand why you're the captain of U of T. You're kind of well-spoken. You're not going to ruffle any feathers. But come on, we're here on Sharp Cuts. So I'm curious, because Josh did mention you're from the States, and that totally slipped my mind, but now we're on it. You've come up to Canada to play, so I'm curious. You have a unique perspective that we don't often get on this show. What are some of the weirdest things the volleyball community does in Canada that you've seen that they definitely don't do in the States? Like you're coming up, you're seeing us, you're like, okay, that is stupid. We definitely don't do that. I guarantee there's got to be a few things.
Well, not only is he's American, but he's from the center of the volleyball universe in California. I bet you he thinks he's real snooty to us Ontario guys, Gary, because he's been to the top of the mountain, those California
guys. I'm a
guys.
BC guy now, so I'm a little bit closer to that. I can kind of relate now, okay? So don't put me in that bucket. But Jasper, I guarantee there's got to be some stuff.
There is definitely a few. Well, first off, the ball. Like, we at home we play with the Molten.
The ball.
Yes. And I played with the Molten from the time I was 15 till, coming to Canada. And I was like, holy crap, I don't even know what's going on with this new ball. It's so different. I do like it a lot more though now. So I will give you that. But what I cannot understand, I've played volleyball in Canada for 3 years. The rotations are numbered differently. They're the exact same rotations, but P1, like we call it row 1, here they call it P1. It's one spot different. So at home, growing up, P6 was equivalent to P1 here. So, and still to this day, whenever like someone will be like, oh, P1, P2, I always think for 1 second to go back to what I was trained in and go back to and then I'm always in the wrong spot for like a half second.
Why is that different? Like P1 being the setters in position 1, right?
Yeah, so we would call it P6, or we would call it row 6 at home. I have no idea. That's just what we always did.
Okay, so in terms of weirdness, though, you got to say our way is not that weird. It makes sense.
It does make more sense. But, like, for example, like for as a middle, when you line up, in position 2 on the right hand side of the court,
Yeah.
that is row 3 and row 6 at home. I mean, sorry, that's row 2 and row 5 at home, and here it's 3 and 6, which still doesn't make any sense to me. But I think it's absolutely crazy that, I just don't understand that at all.
So you got to go back home and you got to say, listen, guys, what are we doing here? Why is this row 6? The setter's in position 1. Are we following these positions based on where the middle is? The first middle player? Like, is that the most important player? I mean, you might say yes.
I would totally agree. I think that I honestly, this is going to be a hot take here, but I think that having a dominant middle changes volleyball, changes the game in a way that's not respected enough. I will say that on this show.
I want you to go deeper, because in club I usually refer to them in a playful manner as big dumb middles, because they're not usually known as like the smartest or the biggest.
Said Gronk, Josh. Gronk was your term.
Like when we talk like training secondary setters and you try to get your libero or somebody in the back row, it's because you're avoiding the big dumb middle who's going to like chop a double, and you don't want them touching the second contact ever. So go on, Jasper. Explain to me how the big dumb middles are affecting our game, that they're the real game changers here.
So what I like to say, I've said this a few times. In the NFL, they say run the football. Running the football opens up everything. If you have a middle who you can run, and I will also go on a limb and say U of T men's volleyball has the deepest and best group of middles in the OUA. That is.
Hey, I respect the self-promotion immensely. Like,
no, not even just me. Not even just me, though. Not even just me. We have the deepest and best group of middles any team in the league. I'll say that for sure. But my point is, if you can run the football, that opens up the whole game. So if you can run the middle, that gets your outsides one-on-one all the time. It gets your pipe hitters to, they jump. The other middle has to respect the middle and jumps early, and that opens up the pipe. And with the level of OUA volleyball, I think some of our pin hitters, one-on-one, the ball should be put away, 95% of the time. And when we're playing teams and we're like, oh, their middle is their last option, we can just kind of ignore them. And I think that, especially when you have a middle who's on time every time, jumping as high and hard as he can, being loud, I think that opens up the game in a way that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah, you know what, though? It's not that sharp of a cut you're making here, Jasper. It's not a hot take. Like, you're saying you think middles are more important in a way that people don't respect, which I think is a fair opinion, especially coming from a middle. Like, on this show, we've definitely chirped middles pretty hard, generally, I would say. So we're definitely not making your case any easier with the things we've said on this show. But I think I would agree with you. I mean, if you have two dominant middles and an average team, you can still be pretty good and very competitive and potentially win just with that alone. Some teams do it. I don't have any examples that come to mind, though, so maybe that's undermining my agreeing with you point immediately. But, I think I'd be on your side here, Jasper.
Yeah, thanks. And I think one thing that I'm a little partial to U of T, obviously, but our team, we're pretty deep all around. So, when we have any one of the middles on our team, bottom to top, if they're on time, the ball is going to be put away. And that just, and every single position, is able to have a one-on-one. So that's what I'd say.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. So if U of T doesn't win any championships in the next few years, we'll know it was because of their middles.
100%.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing as a middle. You can, then you can blame everyone else. You can be like, oh, the passing wasn't good, the setting wasn't good. It's kind of, you kind of push the blame everywhere else.
Yeah, see, that's what you're trying to fight for, more respect for the middles, but trying to avoid all the blame, which is pretty slimy, but I absolutely approve. I'm so down for that. I mean, great strategy. I mean, we definitely saw through it here, but I am curious. So, like, what else is weird about Canadian volleyball? Because you said you had a few, and you've named the ball and the rotations. The rotation's very frickin' weird. But is there anything else we do, like just some of the things we actually do? Like, walking around, or the signals, or things we say or do? Like, is any of that crazy to you?
Actually, yeah. This is kind of going off middle a bit as well, but I've never heard the call 50 before. I've never heard 40 before. I've never heard 30 before. At home, we call it 1, push, and like 3 or shoot. And literally 60, 50, all those middle sets, I've never heard them call that before, which I thought was, pretty interesting. There's just a lot of different, little lingo and stuff. And
yeah, like what?
Firing up. I don't know. Is that something all Canadians say?
I get fired up all the time.
Like,
no,
like
where you change the setter, on the left side.
Yeah.
Is that what you'd say for?
Yeah.
Josh immediately less excited about that.
Yeah. Because I'm less fired up because it doesn't work. We did it at York all the time with our front row setter. We put Ray over there, and you think you're being tricky and you're running these like stunt plays. It rarely works.
Well, that's because you were trying it against me, Josh. That's why it didn't work.
In 1920, when we were playing Queens in the famous gold medal.
Way back in 1920.
Yeah. When we were playing
I know you did that season.
Yeah, the famous gold medal collapse that we had. Queens put their left side to block our left sides on the right, and we won the first 2 sets, and then immediately after they switched back to normal, and clearly, I mean, that was the right call for them. But
yeah, apparently they still talk about it today, Garrett. 1925.
Yeah, like I you know what? I do remember that game though, and it's funny you refer to it as the famous gold medal collapse. I've been a part of a few of those myself though, so we don't need to get too deep into gold medal games here, Josh, because I have a number of collapses myself that I'm still trying to recover from. Okay.
Too soon.
Way too soon. Is it time for me to segue, Josh, or can you pull your weight on this show at all, or is it just
I think Jasper's not calling people out. I think there's got to be some behaviors or stuff we celebrate, or even just the way we warm up's got to be different. There's got to be something in California where is the norm, where he came here and it's just what? You guys are lame.
Okay, we talked about this on another episode. Okay, so I gotta ask Jasper. So when your opponent calls a timeout and everybody loses their mind. Is that something you would do back home as well?
Yeah, that is something.
Okay.
I don't think honestly the biggest difference I honestly noticed between playing in the US and playing here is just kind of, and this is really a compliment to Canadian volleyball, but it's just way more physical here, I think. And some of that probably is just playing with bigger and stronger guys, but here, I really noticed that, they throw off the hands way more. They really joust, 2 hands on the ball, a little stronger guys here. And I think it's just the Americans kind of.
And I think that's probably a reflection of our worst setting and the fact that we tip all the time. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time before we get in a bunch of jousts and try to wipe off, because we actually can't hit it around the block. I mean, I would say that's what that is, and that would be my impression of what's different. But I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
Very nice of you. I mean, You could easily come in here and bury Canada, though, and we would take it and deserve it.
Well, I mean, I did choose to come play here, so I'm kind of on your side here.
You did.
Wouldn't look very good. Wouldn't look very good for me to bury Canadian volleyball after I chose to come here instead of play in the States.
Well, we thank you for it. And, I mean, it's that kind of poise and, deliberate choosing of your words that I think has made you the captain on the U of T volleyball team. Now, I'm curious in your mind, because I was literally never the captain of any team that I was on. Beach. There's only 2 of you, so I had a 50-50 shot, but was never the captain of any team that I was on. But you're here the captain. So what is really in your mind? And Josh, feel free to chime in, because I've definitely got some thoughts. What is the role of a captain on a team? Is there anything that just automatically comes with that, or is it really more whatever you make it?
I think it's honestly a bit whatever you make it. I like to kind of be like an older brother for the young guys. sometimes we have some knuckleheads, and I will not let that go to be unmentioned. But I like to just
There's
be
a
there
high number of knuckleheads in the OUA. Absolutely, it's full
Yeah.
of knuckleheads.
Yeah, I love them at the same time.
You make the best stories. It's true though, but sometimes you got to just rein them in and go, "Hey, come on, what are you doing, bud?"
Yeah, but I like to put a lot of effort into it, and I mean it really was like a pretty big honor for myself. I wasn't really expecting it in any way, and I think I like to just be there for the young guys and the older guys because we have kind of a lot of guys that are way older than me, and I like to just let them know that I'll be there for them if they need anything, but they kind of take care of themselves for the most part, but it's fun. We're a really good group at U of T. That being said, we do have some knuckleheads, but everyone really is a great guy, and everyone's there for each other. So
now I wonder,
so freaking cute.
Is there any pressure or urgency to stop the knucklehead behavior? Because your coaching staff includes John Barrett, Dave McAllister, like guys who would like literally and figuratively choke slam you if they found something like the behavior wasn't approved. So I'm wondering, as a captain, do you have to squash it before it ever gets back to coach? Because Garrett, of everyone involved in the volleyball community, I think I'm afraid of John Barrett the most. So I would be like the most worried about like him finding out I did something stupid, or Garrett forgot the jerseys or didn't fill up the water bottles. Like, do you feel as a vet that you're really in, like, you have to make sure this stuff gets solved before coach finds out sometimes?
Yeah, there's been a few times where I've said, boys, let's put an end to this right now. But John, he expects a lot from us, but clearly it's been working. He's really the best leader of a team that I've ever experienced as a coach. Like I know he sometimes has a lot of emotion, but it's really all passion from him. And he's really a great leader for the group, and he's honestly kind of changed us all into really strong, young, capable guys. But that being said, there are some first years who I have to have some conversation with about their mentality and say, boys, this is not going to fly, and I would recommend changing your personality right now before this ever gets back.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty cool that you're doing that. And I mean, Josh was asking that question. I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, Josh, because you're getting a little bit frustrated with some of the behavior in your environment. So you're asking, hey, is it up to the players? And it sounds like it absolutely is, Josh. So wipe your hands of that and blame it on those guys. They need to figure it out. So that's awesome. But I am curious as well, though, because there's some actual formal stuff that does come with being the captain. Like, you got to take the coin toss. And anytime there's a discussion with the ref, like when you're on the floor, you got to talk to them, right? So, like, have you ever, and I feel awkward because I did this when I was a coach with my captains. John is probably like yelling at the ref, like coach is like yelling at, and you're like running back and forth, like trying to be like go between.
Yes.
But, like,
I'll tell you a good story.
My captain. My captain would like go hear something from the ref, come tell me, and I'd yell it to the ref, and then they'd have to go and talk to them. So like I'm sure you've been caught in a few situations like that, or do you just kind of just go through it and say, hey, now I'm not going to deal with this?
Well, I was told that I was the captain about 2 days before our first preseason match, and I had no idea what I was doing, right? So I go up to the coin toss, and I was like, the refs are like, hey, I'm so and so. I was like, hey, just want to let you know, like, I have no clue what I'm doing here. And we laughed, and I accidentally called the coin toss like the away team was supposed to call it, and I called it, and he's like, oh, sorry.
And, no, I respect that. Get in there and mark your territory. Like, no, I'm calling this one. Okay, beat it.
And then during the game, there's some ridiculous call or whatever. It was probably nothing. And our whole bench, John included, everyone was mad. Everyone was screaming, pissed, whatever. And I walk over, and the ref's like, tell your bench to shut the hell up right now. And I was like, okay. And I went over, and John he has this little like arm movement where he gives like a little stop it whenever like we're shutting down practice or something. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now. And I looked over the bench, and I just gave him one of these, and all the boys started cracking up. It was that was a great moment. But it's hilarious. I don't know. I kind of like talking to the refs, and it's fun listening to them and being a little communicator.
Yeah, I really missed that when I was never the captain. I kind of wanted to do that and never really got the chance to do that. Josh, like when you're looking for a captain, are you expecting them to do all this stuff, or do you expect more, or are you just saying, you know what, I don't really need this. It's just somebody to like give a title to.
Well, they definitely got to know the rules in a way, because, like you said, we're usually yelling across the court, and they have to, like, articulate it a little bit better, or maybe ask the question or for clarification. But I am curious, Jasper, have any officials kind of not liked you being the captain because you leave every 3 rotations, like, because then they got to name like a new floor captain, and then they got to talk to somebody else? Like, is there a lot of that weird back and forth just because of our gentleman game like rules, where if you're not on the court, are you allowed to be the one talking to the ref?
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Usually we have two guys that kind of are the floor captains when I'm off the floor, but it is kind of weird. I wasn't really, the refs I think they kind of laugh because they never expect, what we were talking about earlier, the big dumb middle. They never really expect. I mean, I'm the biggest guy on the floor most of the time, and I got some big feet and I'm walking out there, and everyone kind of laughs, but it is what it is. So.
Well, you let them know when you're out there. You let them know that they should cast away any prejudice they have about big dumb middles, because you're coming in there and to dominate them. But I'm curious, because that must happen every single game where you either start or leave. The down ref will remember at some point that there's not a court captain on, but it's not always immediately. What's the longest it's gone without them recognizing that?
I honestly think there's been at least 2 games where they never even mentioned it at once.
That is hilarious. The captain just leaves. They're just like, yeah, I mean, whatever.
Yeah, our last 2 games of the first half, I don't think we ever mentioned one time that the floor captain, or that the captain needed a floor captain when we were gone, which is kind of hilarious. But
that is amazing. I love that. I mean, I'm a bit bitter because it sounds like fun stuff, and like getting to talk to the refs is something I always wanted to do. But I feel like you got to have somebody who's not a complete mouthpiece as your captain, because if they get angry, they're just going to lose it and get a card from going up, because they're allowed to talk to the ref. They might say something stupid. That's definitely, I've seen that happen before way too many times, and luckily it's been in my favor.
Yeah, I try to keep my mouth shut most of the time. I like to just, listen. There's been a few times where I could have been a little more angry, but I can just hold it in and say yes, sir. I'll let them know, and we just kind of laugh it off.
Yeah, I mean, you're more restrained than I ever could be, and I think maybe that's why I was never the captain, and still really not over it, Josh.
Have you ever been big time, Jasper, where you're walking over to ask a question, they just go tweet, 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 like, don't even know. We're not discussing this. We're not, like, go away.
Oh my God, I hate that so much.
Yes.
I remember it was one of the preseason games, and I got a set at the end. It was like, I don't know, 23-21 something in like the 3rd or 4th set, and I got a ball and I was like, blasted off the guy's hands 100%, and it goes out like 4 feet out the back of the court, and they called it, no touch, and I walked over it, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that was 100% a touch, and the guy just waves me off, sends me off, and I was like, all right, I guess, can't get all those calls.
We have a very mixed relationships with referees on this show. I mean, they're not really allowed to come on to defend themselves, but we do really love some referees. It's kind of a weird dynamic. So, I mean, that, again, I'm angry hearing that. But then you go talk to a ref you love, and you might take it. So I don't know how to feel about that. But great question, Josh.
You see it more, I think, in college sometimes in the OUA. The OUA, you tend to get more senior officials, and you tend to get captains who understand the rules, where in college sometimes, Garrett, I think that's where you do find the mouthpiece coaches sometimes, but also players, where I think they're just a little bit more on edge and sensitive.
When you said mouthpiece coaches, I could feel it through the camera.
Confirm or deny, you guys had a cheer when you guys got carded.
Oh, we 100% full applause cheer whenever I got carded. 100%. It happened every game, I think.
Did any refs double down where like you get carded, you guys like cheer and like lose your minds and think, whoa, 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 like that's two now. Like,
Did you not know that I 100% that did happen? And I was so pissed. Did you not know that when you asked that question? Like,
no, but I can
yeah,
see it happening. Like,
yes, yellow card, we lose it. Immediate red. And I'm like, no, no, we completely blew. I mean, we were losing anyway, but it's like, no, that at one time it did happen. Well,
that's it, Jasper. You have to get carded. I want to see what Coach Barrett does when you get carded, or worse, the box squad gets carded. What happens if your bench
carded,
ever
Jasper?
gets a card?
We really try. We really try as a team. I mean, we hold ourselves to a pretty,
get cards,
you know,
or to not.
No,
get
no,
cards?
really try to not get cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because John gets too many, or
You know, there's been a few times he's gotten a card or two, but I think, you know, as a group, we hold ourselves to a pretty high standard, and we always try to be, you know, the more gentleman team, a little more respectful, a little more. That's just kind of the mantra we keep as a team. But there's been a few times where we could have got some cards.
well, that's really great. And we have yet to really, I feel like, break Jasper on this show. He's just held super firm, been super, super political, really hasn't ruffled any feathers, and that must mean you're a good guy. But we're here trying to run a show, Josh and I. And, you know, you've been on it for a little while now, and you've heard what it's all about. So this is normally when I ask people what they think, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'd rather talk a little bit about, like, what kind of volleyball content do we like? We're trying to make good stuff. We're trying to make stuff that people like and enjoy to listen to and want to participate with on YouTube and on our podcast, 5-star subscribe, by the way. Like, we can't forget to say that. But I'm curious, like, what is the stuff that volleyball people actually like to consume? Like, you know, whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or like some other thing, like, what are we watching? Like, what are we consuming? Because I don't really have a clear answer.
You know what? I've listened to the few of the shows that you've had before, and I really love the OUA Canada West discussion with Zane. I think that when you kind of talk about individual players and their performances and kind of do recaps like that, and like I love hearing about that because there's so many, you know, talented guys in this league. Mm-hmm. And, you know, just saying, like, kind of calling people out, like, in the media, you know, like saying, oh, this guy's got to perform better, or this guy's outperforming his expectations, and just kind of, you know, really treating it like sports media does, and
yeah, like
on
you
the
like
players.
that, like you would like to hear that sort of stuff, right? But like, it's so disjointed, right? Because it's relevant to you and the league you're in and the people who watch that league. But there's other leagues and so many other different things, right? Like, you think about the people who are fans of like the OUA, the University Sport League. But then you think about the club scene, which is like way bigger in Canada and around North America. People who are like just playing in their own league. You got the whole college league. Like, it's so disjointed. Like, why would somebody in the college league really, you know, like it? I get that, but like, what? How do we connect that all? Like, or is it just disjointed and we're just fighting a losing game here?
One thing that in the States that we have is there's kind of a similar show to yours. It's a little different, and they do like players of the night or players of the week or that kind of thing. And I think those kind of things where, you know, individuals, you know, no matter what league it is, you know, are kind of called out and represented for their individual performances or teams and that kind of stuff, I think is really cool.
All right.
But
I like that. No, it's a great piece of advice, Jasper, and we're going to immediately act on it. That's how we do on the show, full impulse, immediately acting on good advice when we get it. So, welcome to our first ever segment of Players of the Week, where each of us name a player of the week and celebrate their achievements. So, Jasper, thank you so much for the great idea. I'm going to call you out immediately to give us your player of the week. Sorry, was that too fast of a turnaround?
No, that's not too fast. That's not too fast. You know what? He hasn't played in a while. We haven't had games in a while, but I'll give player of the week to Evan Falardo. He's our superstar. You know, I think that's one guy that, you know, I know he gets gets lots of love and on the OUA level and everything, but I think I've seen how hard that guy works. I've seen how he practices. I think that, he's going to be on a pretty high upward trajectory. So I think he's my player of the week.
Wow.
Bold.
Evan, congrats.
Bold.
Being the first ever player of the week on Sharp Cuts, I might add. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
huge honor.
I think we need a
on
little trophy. I think we need a little trophy, a little.
That's not in the budget, Jasper. We don't have that kind of money. So yeah, but thanks for. But it was really nice of you to say that, which I think is kind of you're just such a nice guy. I'm finding, and it's such a problem for me because I was going in a very different direction. So let's see which direction Josh went in with his player of the week.
Well, first of all, I'm going to be a little skeptical on Jasper's decision because when he mentioned at the start of the show, Garrett, the U of T guys, they train every day they breathe. I'm not confirming or denying, but Evan may not have been on our summer beach national team. And I question this training philosophy of he's working hard every day that he breathes. So I'm just going to leave that up for the listeners' interpretation.
I'll defend Evan on the show. And if Evan ever listens to the show, Evan, you owe me one here. But you owe me a pizza or something, a Domino's. But
Domino's? I thought you guys trained every day you breathe.
That's why we train hard. Domino's.
Hard.
Okay.
But Evan, I'm just when we get back, you guys, you'll know what I'm talking about. He's doing good stuff.
Great. Well, I trust you. But Josh, did you decide to go for your player of the week to bury Jasper's player of the week?
I needed to counteract. I needed to
counteract. But very in the line with the brand of the show.
Sharp Cuts, yes. I'm going to go even more shameless self-promotion because by the time this episode comes out, friend of the show, Colton Liu from the UBC Thunderbirds, Garrett, would have been on Passin Dimes podcast. Download it now on wherever you get your podcast. But I'm going to go with Colton as the player of the week because he just came on my show, and two, UBC can still play games, so they got to be like stacking up points. He must have had a great weekend, even though we're recording before it happened, confirming, bam, like I'm looking into the future as the listeners are listening in the past that he had a great weekend.
Yeah, I mean, look up his results because if he got benched for the entire weekend just because, Josh will look incredibly stupid in hindsight. But I got to applaud the shameless self-promotion there of giving player of the week to the most recent guest on your Passin Dimes talk show, which, I mean, if that's going to be every week, I won't be pissed. So, I mean, well done.
I gave the player of the week to a guy that hasn't even played in a month. So that's
that must really be a testament to how good he is. He was that week, I guess.
Yeah.
My player of the week, I was thinking a little bit differently. You guys went actually kind of nice and named people. So my player of the week is going to be the Ontario government for shutting down the OUA. They defeated the entire OUA. I don't think that's ever been done in the history of the league. So congrats to the Ontario government for taking that big win against the entire league. Or is that too soon, Jasper? Just be
That's a little too soon. That's a little too soon right now. We're still mourning the loss of our games. So we'll have to take that one. Maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it's a tough competitor, the government. I mean, they really take charge and do what they need to do. So, well-deserved player of the week. So, I mean, 3 different approaches to the player of the week, but I really like your advice there, Jasper. So, I mean, we're hungry for it. Give us some more. We're talking volleyball media. You get player of the week. We did that. Hopefully it was entertaining. What else are we liking? Like, what do we like?
I'm a big video guy. I love watching volleyball. I think during these COVID times and, seasons canceled and playing and canceled again and all that, I've loved just being able to watch and from all levels, NCAA, Canada West to pro and Olympics and VNL and all that kind of stuff. I really think, for me, just seeing some of those like insane athletes and, all over the world, guys playing multiple positions and subbing
like
in.
Like highlight tapes and stuff, or you watch full games?
Yeah, well, both,
Yeah. I mean, highlight tapes are great, right? But, like, it's hard to really – it's not – it's like it is the sport, but it's not content generation around the sport. You know what I mean? Like, like they show highlight clips on a television show, but, like, when you watch volleyball clips, what do you just watch them on a YouTube channel or on their own, or like I'm sure there's a website or something?
Yeah, we watch a lot on volumetrics and just watch random pro leagues and skip to all the the kills and blocks and stuff. But
Oh, damn. That's a handy tool to have if you're looking for
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
I never
But
had that.
just watching, I think really is. I mean, there's so many like men's volleyball, especially. I don't think gets a lot of respect just as a sport in North America and how exciting it is. And I think, when you're seeing a guy that's 6'10", touching 12'2", blasting a ball over, a bunch of other 6'5" guys, that just some of those things are absolutely insane. So I love watching, and I think just kind of finding a way to bring those tapes and highlights in is something that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, it's so difficult though, isn't it? Like to really get that stuff going. Like even in your league, like who's gonna like? Is there somebody who's taking that and cutting the nice clips of all the nice kills and putting that up on YouTube? Like, is there somebody actually doing that work, or is it like,
No,
hey, just do your own thing? Like, but it's a lot
yeah,
of it's time consuming, right?
yeah, definitely. And I think, I mean, again, I'll promote the OUA as much as I can, but there's every single game there's amazing highlights, and there's some incredible athletes at really all positions, and every team has at least a guy or two that can do something special. And I just think the OUA can find a way to really capitalize on the athletes that we have right now.
Yeah, so it is true. People do love watching the kind of spectacular in volleyball, eh? Like on Instagram, you post a clip of like a nice play. People are liking that. People watch that. You post a nice highlight clip on YouTube, like people are gonna watch that. Facebook, kind of same thing, right? But like, anything, is that all our sport is reduced to in terms of volleyball media? Like people, what they like to consume? Like, not many people watch volleyball shows, or like we don't like. Am I in the dark here about this?
Yeah, that's. I mean, it seems like you know volleyball at the university level it clearly doesn't get the same attention that football and basketball do, and it's really a shame because I honestly, not just because I'm a volleyball guy, but I think men's volleyball, or all volleyball in general, but I mean men's volleyball, because that's what I play, is one of the most exciting sports really to watch. And another thing that I really did like, or kind of I like doing, is thinking about like dream teams, like from this league, who would be your best players that you'd pick, which guys would work best together, and kind of just like fantasy drafts. Like I love doing those kinds of things, and just
Yeah, those are fun. We did have a fantasy draft on this show that went a bit off the rails because I totally fudged the rules. Check out that episode, the Becky Pavin episode.
She hasn't been
She
back
got,
since. Yeah, she hasn't been back.
yeah, like she hasn't even returned any of our calls or texts because I think she's still pissed. But we did a draft of every character ever, real or fictional. And I was fully prepared. So my team was pretty dominant, but I surprised it on them. So that stuff is fun, but like, is that stuff people are talking about on their own? Like, I don't know volleyball people anymore. Like I feel like I'm old, crotchety, and out of it. I can't imagine what you must be feeling, Josh.
Well, it reminds me, I was listening to, on the holiday break, Garrett. I used to be big into wrestling as a kid, like the Attitude Era. I used to like watching it with The Rock and all these
I'm big
guys.
into wrestling now. Is that not? Is that?
Oh, I haven't followed it much lately, but the guy on the show, we were reminiscing. So the host of the show was talking about in its peak era wrestling, Garrett. Like it was the larger than life personalities who had a catchphrase. They had these mannerisms. So I think the next time Jasper gets a one-on-one, because he's so proud of all these accomplishments, he should do like the double point to the crowd, and I'll be there in the front row giving it back to him, and we like start having personalities, and we start like portraying these guys, because there's only so many quicks I can watch a big dumb middle hit. But if he gets like a one-on-one, we interact.
I thought we just ended the big dumb middle conversation.
Right. There's only so many quicks that a big skilled middle can hit.
Right. So I think we got to add some more pizzazz, some charisma, some catchphrases. I think that's what's really going to put us over the top, because when I think back, it wasn't really the moves. It was kind of the storylines, Garrett, the people you like, the people you don't like. So I think like if U of T is going to be the good guys, maybe another school can be the bad guys, and we get a group together, Garrett. We go live, and Jasper's interacting with the crowd, as much as Coach Barrett's going to allow. But like I think having the players have a little bit more personality, because sometimes, Garrett, volleyball players have a lot of personality, but when they play, they're boring. That was me.
That was
Yeah.
100% me. Like, so we got it. You're right. But how do we, okay. So we're brainstorming here, Josh. I love this. Okay. So we need to add some personality. So we talked about this on a previous episode, how I get incredibly bored watching middles just hit the ball to 5, 12 to 20 times in a match, watch a left side tool the block line, like, I don't know, 7 times or get blocked. Great. They get blocked. They get blocked 5 times. Who cares? Like, I get bored of that stuff. But you're right. If they came down and were like, maybe if they were like super devastated or the guy like did some crazy fist pump, you clip that, send it out. Like people are getting hype about that stuff and like either, well, see, but then you open yourself up too, because if say you post that clip of you celebrating massively and people are just like, chirping you hard for it, it's like, well, that's tough to deal with. Like, I mean, you and I, we taken that risk by going on the show. Like people could come on and just crap all over us, but I mean, thankfully they haven't. We've been asking them to. But like that's also a tough thing to really ask people to do, especially when like, you don't want to be famous or internet famous. Like Alex Poldma, the guy is internet famous because there's a picture of him with a foot through his legs in the background that looks like it's a penis hanging down. Like that's how the guy's internet famous. He's a successful volleyball player. Like there's some risk there too, which is kind of like, I guess we got to take it. We got to take some risk.
Easy for me to say, Garrett. I would have been crushed if in our poll we were voted as like the worst guest this show's ever had. I would have been devastated. So I'm glad I didn't win that award. But I think Jasper's got pretty big shoulders. He can take it. He can take like being loved, being hated. I think that's what athletes, you have to deal with at a certain level.
Can you take it, Jasper?
I can take it. I can take it for sure. That's what I'm saying. I want to hear some hot takes. I want to defend myself. I think I can take it, and really, I do agree with what you're saying though. I think men's volleyball, we just attract kind of some kind of smart, pretty straightforward guys a lot of the time, and lots of skilled guys. But we kind of that's one of the reasons I love volleyball is because I feel kind of there's lots of similar guys to myself who are really focused and driven and like to work towards the common goal, but we are missing a lot of that fun. Like you go to a football game, you hear some awesome music, some pregame dances, and great handshakes and all that kind of stuff. Like see LeBron doing all the cool handshakes with all the boys before the game. We don't really have that, and I think we could grow the game a little bit if we added some of that into it.
When I see that kind of stuff in the OUA, it definitely stirs an emotion in me. Now, which one it is, it can vary, but it definitely stirs something, which is great. I just had an idea, though. Like, think about the other leagues you follow with that personality. I always equate it to the NBA. Like, when you're sitting at home on a Tuesday night, if your team's not playing, but you're still interested in seeing some exciting sports, like you like watching sports, like you could turn on and find a game, right? Whereas in the OUA or the U Sport Canadian Volleyball League, which is, I guess, in Canada, the highest, most organized league we have. I mean, yes, I think. But everybody plays basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon. Like, almost exclusively. Like, the games all overlap with each other on those 3 days of the week. You maybe get a Wednesday game, maybe. You maybe get a Thursday game, maybe. But, like, even if I wanted to watch every game and follow every team, I can't physically do it.
But then you got the NFL that I think is like the biggest spectator sport, and they own a day of the week, Garrett. Like I think you just fire up and watch 7 hours of football. So what you're saying is Sharp Cuts needs to now pick players of the week, game of the week, villain of the week. Like we need to start handing out more awards to make these guys relevant. They already have the skills, Garrett. We just need to piggyback on it on our platform so we can gain, they can gain, everybody gains.
Okay,
I agree with that.
I really like that, Josh. So let's experiment with that. Let's go through those. Let's feel that out. You said we did players of the week. What was the other thing you said?
I wasn't game really of the week. So who's playing volleyball this week? It's got to be like a Canada West game here. So
game of the week. See, we don't know anything though. That's the problem. Maybe we should note that to our audience who's still listening that we don't know anything.
Yeah, maybe I should do some research.
What's the game of the week here?
The T-Birds play the Wolfpack to open
That's
up
the game of the week right there.
Friday at 7:30 and Saturday, no love lost there, 4:30 p.m. Garrett, Vancouver time. No love lost there. 4:30. That's when the fans want to eat up your whole afternoon to go watch men's volleyball. Anyway,
is that what that is on Saturday?
Saturday at 4:30. I don't want to be in a gym watching volleyball. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like what like or even straight. You're at home streaming it at 4:30.
Yeah.
Like what an awkward time to be. like watching volleyball, and for it to not be mega exciting and people doing skyhooks and stuff like that when they score. Okay, is that our game of the week? I didn't even hear the teams you mentioned.
I will say, whoever runs the UBC men's volleyball account, you should give them a follow, because the last line here, Garrett, announcing that the T-Birds host the TRU Wolfpack this weekend. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
They deserve a what? An award? You should follow them?
They deserve a follow for sure. Like, aren't you engaged now? No love lost there. Wolfpack versus T-Birds? Get some.
No, absolutely not. That is the most cliche hype lines ever. It's like me
yelling. Are you not firing up, Garrett? I thought we were talking about firing up.
My timeout, Josh. Let's go.
Come on.
Let's go. Like, is that all I can say? Like, let's get a little bit of spice, variety in here.
Well, I will say it is a good follow. They do clip a lot of highlight videos, and they do post some cool stuff. So I would follow UBC if you're not already.
Follow U of T men's volleyball Instagram too. Yeah, yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. I do not follow them. I may go on and follow them just so I can maybe throw some chirps in all their posts and actually call out Jasper directly. That might get some of the hype going.
I just clicked on their account. One of the videos, slow-mo of my guy Mitchell Newer hitting a spinner. He's diving. I don't know who's like. This is like definitely a 4K camera. I don't know who's got your big media budget, Jasper, but somebody is interning for the U of T Varsity Blues, and this is a sick video. I'm gonna give them a follow. I'm hopping on.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I run the Instagram account myself. I did not have anything to do with that video, but I do run the Instagram. So give us.
Then you definitely gotta share with the account. Like, it's you. Okay.
Garrett, in this video, you're going to get on board because Evan Filar is running out the back line, back bump sets to left side, and the left side, he doesn't tip it over. He doesn't roll shot to take out the setter. He tools the big dumb middle off the block. Garrett, this is actual men's volleyball happening right in front of my eyes.
Well, okay. Again, do they celebrate hard?
There's some good celebration in this, actually. I think I flex in that video, actually.
This is a good video.
So does it make
Mitchell Newer, it's almost at every shot. So
does it make you love them or does it make you hate them?
Love. I think love. It's definitely edited heavily in their favor.
Yeah, they cut out all the shanks and tips.
Hey, there's no shanks. There's no shanks. We don't shank.
Well, for him to bump set it from the back line.
For a fact, the Brock men's volleyball team is pretty good, but by this video, Garrett, you would never guess that because it's all U of T just dominating here.
I mean, I respect a good edit, though. I mean, that's what you got to do to spice things up. So, I mean, props to that. So, yeah, I need to maybe get on board with that, and absorb some media to really call out really some of these people who are doing it well.
Jasper, who's number 10 on your team?
Me.
The middle. That you had wicked sideburns in the first semester?
Yeah.
Dude.
That's your gimmick right there. You should be the sideburns guy, and you should like pew, 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 pew to the crowd, and they can like sideburns it back to you.
Yeah, I have long hair and a big beard going.
No. What did you just do, Josh? Sideburns thing? What is that? Our listeners
shaved
don't
them
know
in like
what
an Al or guns, and he should have like we could. Pew, pew, pew.
What are you?
I'm trying. Yeah, you could do the crossover thing, and then like.
I mean, something, Jasper. Like you cut the sideburns. I mean, that's I'm upset.
Yeah, it was a crazy look. You know, it was a bit of a joke. We kind of were doing some Movember thing, and then I just grew a bit of a beard and grew my hair out and just went for the look. But
I didn't even recognize him, Garrett. He's right here on the show with us, and I didn't even recognize him based on this neck beard thing he's got going on.
Yeah, you're an absolute clown for that. I'm jealous because I actually can't even grow a beard. Like you cutting sideburns as a joke, and I can't even physically do that if I tried. So I'm fully bitter. But yeah, we need a gimmick for Jasper here. Like, what's the thing? What are you doing now that's unique? You get a huge. Okay, this is the situation that you need a thing for. Like a thing. Is when they set a quick to your opponent's middle, you commit and fully wrap him up in a phone booth and slam him down. Like he tries to hit it to 5, just hits it literally straight into your hands. Just shut down. You need something for that, like a thing for that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we haven't had. We've only had 4 games this semester, so we haven't had too many opportunities
back to the games
for the
canceled
big commits. But And in first year, I'd just go for the big flex. That would be like bit of a flex and a scream. So that was kind of my move.
Yeah, I like that, but we need to maybe up the ante a bit and extend for 3+ seconds. I feel like, it's too fast. People might miss it.
Next game that we play, I'll get a highlight and I'll do something absolutely crazy for you guys, and then you can watch and mention it again.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch that 100%. Clip that, send it to me. I will look and love it.
It's got to be something that when they're finally allowed fans back at these events, that like when you do it, I could be like in the front row, like giving it right back. Like it's got to be very like
yeah. Like you, like actually you.
Yeah, like we go antlers on them or something.
Josh, I don't know this side of you. You have so many funny ideas. We need more of the antlers. That's ridiculous, but I love it.
I think it's the problem of having a child at home, Garrett. I'm a little sleep deprived, but I'm trying to fire up our sport here.
Like, what about you get a huge bounce home plate slide across the logo on the center of the court? I mean, that's got to be in the wheelhouse, right?
I don't think that's exactly the MO of our team, but if I did that, I think everyone would be so surprised. It would really fire up the boys and just fire up the whole crowd, and maybe we'll get a few more fans.
Next progression is full team home plate slide after a huge point.
And then it's like 6-3 in the second set, and we're still doing these things.
Or what about your opponent calls a timeout, and instead of going into the bench, you all run a set of suicides on your side of the court. Like you run a set of lines, like in the timeout, just to mess with them.
Yeah. We,
Yes.
These are some good ideas. We really try to be the U of T guys with a little more class, but I think we kind of change it up a little. That could really open up our season. And
everybody wants to have class. And I mean, just talking to you for an hour, Jasper, I mean, we can tell you respect the game. You're a classy guy. But like who are the most watched athletes in the world? Are they all the classiest people in the world?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, I mean, we need some clowns in the sport. And I mean, I'm ready and able, but nobody's asked me. Josh, get on that. So yeah, I mean, this is the show, Jasper. Like it gets to a point where I just look at the clock and go, damn, we got to shut it down, but we're having so much fun. So, I mean, what have you thought so far of the show? I mean, we ask everybody what they think. And so I'll ask you, what did you think?
I loved it. I had an awesome time. It's so good to see, volleyball getting some attention and, get people talking about volleyball. I mean, I love thinking about volleyball, watching volleyball, talking about volleyball, and just, giving the OUA and some attention, and it's been a great time.
Well, I knew you would say something nice because you've been just so nice this whole episode. So, I mean, appreciate the kind words and thanks for coming on. I'm not going to do any chirp, Josh, because it was just too sincere and too nice. So, like, I'm not going to go there. I'd love to hear one,
though. I'd love to hear one. I want to hear one.
No, I'm not going to go there. I don't have one. It's just disarmingly nice. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to the point of, like, it just disarms me into I have no weapons, I have nothing to make a sharp cut. Like, it happens sometimes. You know what? It doesn't happen much, Jasper. So, good on you. Thanks for coming. Anything else we want to talk about, Josh? I mean, we really trying to shut down the show, so should we tell the people something?
I can't wait to tell him that he's player of the week, just to see it just fire him up,
Yeah, like, is that going to be exciting when you're next week's player of the week?
If I ever get player of the week on the show, I will be so happy. It will be life-changing for me, I think.
You know what we need? We need to get you a T-shirt that says Sharp Cuts Player of the Week, and when you get a massive block, you can lift it up of your jersey, and it's right there on the shirt. And what a great session, boys. I mean, great brainstorming session. So I think that'll do it, Josh. I mean, should we tell them to 5-star the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit us up in the comments below, anything like that?
You nailed it. And if anybody wants to be our intern, because it sounds like we have to do a men's players of the week, women's players of the week, team of the week, game of the week. We got to post highlight videos, Garrett. This is too much. This is becoming a little bit overwhelming, all these good ideas we came up with.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the budget for any of them. So, I mean, unpaid interns is what we're looking for.
We can't even give Jasper a T-shirt when he wins player of the week.
Yeah, we don't have the budget for that. I know I brought it up, but don't be counting on it, Jasper. It's not coming. Well, all right. That'll do it for this episode. Thank you for being here, Jasper. And thank you all so much for listening. If you're still listening, appreciate you. We'll see you next time.